Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. And before I start the video, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate all of you lovely, lovely ladies and gentlemen who have subscribed to my channel and say such kind things and helpful, constructive criticism. I'm just so touched by how much you like the jewelry and how kind you are, and I love this little beading community. I think it's just great. So just want to say thank you, and I'll keep the jewelry coming as long as you want to see it and make it. So the last not the last time, but time before, we made this hematite necklace, and I know you all remember this because I was very excited about it. And I really love wearing this necklace. I think it's so cool. And during that video, I had a bunch of hematite beads left over, and I put them sort of, if you watched the video, I put them in the shape of a bracelet, and I put this clasp just sort of sitting on the ends, and then I messed it up and said, gee, I really want to make this bracelet, but I really don't know how to make it because it was just a big mess of beads, and how was I going to make it look really cool and look like that big mess of beads? So here, I'm going to take the necklace out of the way. So this is what I came up with. And also, oh, remember, did the ring too. So I also want to sort of dedicate it in a way to the ladies down under. So this is Starry Night Down Under bracelet. And I'm going to make it in blue goldstone, but I'm going to show you just on this bracelet what I did. And we're kind of going to change things a little bit, and work together, and hopefully it will it'll come out good. So to make it look like it's just random beads, it's not random at all. Actually, it's quite thought out, and specific stitches to make it look like it's random. So here it is on the wrist. I'm not going to clasp it, but if I was going to clasp it, it would be like so. Okay. It's really pretty on. The clasp is a toggle and a loop. Oh, here's the loop and the toggle. This clasp, I originally clasped it with thread going through. I put the clasp on separately because there's a lot of work in this bracelet, even though it's not hard work. But there's a lot of work. So if the clasp breaks, then you're out of luck. So what I did is I finished the bracelet from here to here, and then I sewed the clasp on separately. I sewed it right down the middle of the bracelet, and because I have these, I remember I was telling you about these little hematite beads, the silver ones. Well, they're metal, and they have a lot of sharp edges. So I was wearing the bracelet. I've worn it a lot, and I was wearing it today, and I was playing with it to get ready for the video, and the clasp broke. And I think it was because these beads cut the thread. So I think if you're going to use stones, or you're going to have a really heavy bracelet, maybe putting some really strong jump rings at the end between, so it's not rubbing on the thread. It's actually the beads are stopping it from rubbing on the thread there and here too. I think this is going to be a much better clasp. So this originally had one hole, and my very handy husband, who has a little drill with these little tiny drill bits, drills another hole for me because I wanted to put 2 jump rings on there. Now if you have a handy husband, or you're handy yourself, I think I can handle a drill with a little 1/8" bit, and if I need to fix something or make something the way I want it, because these clasps and everything is made for the general public, and if you decide you want to do something different, like you want to put 2 jump rings on like I did, and you need a second hole, why not make it your own instead of being limited by what you're purchasing. So anyway, that's what I did. So the bracelet is in great shape because I finished the bracelet, and I didn't the clasp was sewn on separately. So when it broke, I was able to put another clasp on. So anyway, just to get on with it a bit, this is really right angle weave. And it's a very, very easy right angle weave. This is the back. You can see what I've done with this one is I had about half hematite, and then I used pearls for the rest because I ran out of the hematite. And I kind of like it. It's a little ombre looking. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not, but it's really kind of pretty. So, you know, sometimes if you run out of beads and you add something else, it turns out okay. So, you know, that's all part of designing. So it's really just 2 rows of right angle weave. The first row is very easy. It's just like the spring flower buds bracelet or necklace. Let's say the bracelet. That was just 1 row of right angle weave. This one, you're going to do the turn and come back around. Now that is the only hard part for me. Now I'm sure there are a lot of you out there who have no problem doing that turn and coming around and then trying to fit the beads in there. I really had to take pictures of each step along the way for me to be able to do that. And I've tried it before. I mean, I don't want to get too off task, but I've tried it with this, with O beads, and you know, I think that this could be a really pretty bracelet. And this is just made with 6 O's and O beads. So, you know, we'll kind of work on it together, and I'll be sort of figuring it out as I go. I've already made 3 of these, but still, every time I make them, I still get confused a little bit about this turnaround here. So this is what we're going to do. So it's right angle weave, and what it is just like, and I wish I had the Spring Flower Buds bracelet here. So what we did with the bracelet was we did a diagonal embellishment of pearls along the edge. So we're going to do the same, only we're going to do, one is going to go this way, right? And then the other, we're going to come back this way. So it's sort of in arrow shapes like this. And instead of being all in one direction. So we're just going to do that, and we're going to alternate. You really can't see it too well, but we're going to alternate, you know, some beads here, and then we have some, if you can see it on this, we have some roundels here, and then we go to 3 different beads. So we're just gonna, you can add anything you want there, just as long as it fits. This is made with hematite, 6mm hematite, 6mm Swarovski pearls, and I've put size 8/0 seed beads in between everything, and we'll get started on that in a minute. With the one we're going to make with the blue goldstone, it's a little smaller stone. I think they say they're 6mm, but I think they're really more like 7mm. The pearls are a little smaller. I can tell, just because the bracelet is a little bit, it lays really nice. It's a little big on me, so it lays down on the wrist a bit, which is nice. So so maybe this hematite bead is a little bit bigger than this pearl, but it didn't really make that much difference in the bracelet. I still wear it, and it's not it's a non-issue really. But the 6mm, let's say if you do it in a crystal, or in another stone, and it's a true 6mm. I think the 11/0 seed beads in between will be better than the 8/0s, but we'll see. So that's a little change that I'm going to make, and hopefully that will work. All right, so let me just tell you what you're going to need for this, because I don't want this video to be, 3 hours long. Okay, so we've got 6mm goldstone, and that is an awesome stone. If you can see it, you've got to see this in the sunlight. It's just so pretty. I wish it was during the day, because then the sun would be streaming in. It's a man-made stone. It's glass, and they're faceted. And what they've done is they've put, let's see if I can get some light on this. They've put little copper pieces, little flecks of copper, in with this sort of deep navy blue, and it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It just sparkles like, in the sun, it sparkles like crazy. So you need those. So you'll need at least, I used 86 for my bracelet, and my bracelet is, let me get a little tape measure, and I'll measure my bracelet. Let's see, I'll pull it out here so you can see. And I'm only talking about the beaded portion of the bracelet. Okay, so the beaded portion of my bracelet is 6 inches. Now this bracelet's a little big because the clasp does add about 1 inch, I'd say, maybe even a little bit more. So here, let me clasp it there. So that's what it's going to look like when it's clasped. So we'll measure the clasp, how much space that's going to take. You're at least 1 inch there, probably 1.25 inches of clasp. So I would work accordingly. If your bracelet size is 7, then make your bead size you know, 6 or a little less than 6 inches. So what you'll do is you'll play with it, you'll put it on your arm, and then you'll see. Like I said, if it's a little bit big, it's nice, actually okay, because it lays down on the wrist. Okay, so that's what you're going to need, the goldstone, and that's, or any 6mm bead. So let me put this over here. So there's the goldstone. You're going to need an 11OC bead, and what I've done is I've used a metallic hematite, and I'm going to say that this is a Toho. Let's see. Yes, this is a Toho. So the Toho is a little bit bigger than the Miyuki 11O. I truly believe. So that's why I think it will work with this. And I think the Toho, the 8Os I gotta think are Tohos, and they're just too big. Okay, so you're gonna need some 3mm fire polish, and these are. Let's see if I can find the name. Oh, I thought I was so organized. Okay, I'll have to get you that name. Look for a second. Okay, here we go. Alright, so these are 3mm Ultramarine Halo Fire Polish round glass beads. So it's 50 pieces. It's plenty. So we'll need that. So we have those. That's there. It's sort of coppery. It's blue, and it's got some copper in it. And then these, oh, gorgeous. Look at these. These are dark indigo 4mm Swarovski crystals. And you can see, these are just so pretty. When the light hits them, they're gorgeous. It looks really dark, of course, on the video, but they really have this incredibly rich blue color. Okay, we need a clasp. And what I've got here is a, like I had on the other bracelet, this is a, you know, a toggle and a, well, I guess you would call that a loop. This kind of looked like, because I'm naming it Starry Night Down Under, it kind of looked like a, I don't know, a star or something, maybe a star exploding, who knows. It just looked like it belonged there. So I pulled this one out. So we'll need a clasp. I would say, let's see, if you have any of the hematite, the silver hematite 2mm beads that I was so crazy about, you need some sort of 2mm or 3mm. I go 2.5mm round. You can do a bicone. We might even try a 3mm bicone. These are just all for the embellishing. So that's sort of the basis of the bracelet. Oh, you'll also need, if you're going to, you know, use this type of clasp, you're going to need some jump rings. And I have two different sizes here. I believe these are 6mm, and I know these are 8mm because it says so. And they're nice and, you know, sturdy. This is 17 gauge, and I'm going to say this is close, maybe 6/16 or whatever. But so I would go for the really strong couple of jump rings, and I'm using gunmetal because it goes with my clasp. You could use silver or just or anything. I just happen to have the gunmetal out. So that's what you're going to need. So why don't you gather your materials together and we'll get started. Okay, so to start this, I did forget one thing. I'm also using 4mm blue goldstone, and these are going to be for part of the embellishment as well. So if you don't have goldstone and you're making it in crystal, just, you know, the 6mm crystal, 4mm crystal, 3mm crystal, size 11OC beads, and some 4mm bicones. Okay, so that's your basic, you know, and the little 2mm rounds or 3mm. Depends. We'll see how when we get there. It's just going to embellish the outside. So the embellishing is going to be something that, you know, you can change by, you know, seeing what fits and what looks nice. But right now, all we need are the 11OC beads and your 6mm bead, whatever that is. We need a size 10 beading needle. Need some Fireline. I would, I'm using a small piece because I want to stay in frame, but I think that you should be able to finish your right angle weave at least down one side. So if you can do a couple of wingspans, it's going to be a lot easier than adding on thread. Although it's not hard to add on the thread, it's just, it makes for a stronger bracelet. And, I've said before that it's always a good idea to work with a long piece, because then you get used to working with it. Okay, so I've threaded my needle, and remember when I thread my needle, I just, because people ask me all the time, and I want to be thorough, so I always flatten out the end before I put it through the, through the eye of the needle, and that just makes it easy and saves, instead of being frustrated all the time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do right angle weave, which means we're going to pick up 11/0 seed bead, a 6mm round, 11/0 seed bead, a 6mm round, 11/0 seed bead, 6mm round, 11/0 seed bead, and one more 6mm round. So we've got on our needle 4 11/0s and 4 6mm round beads. I'm going to bring them down. I need a stop bead. If you're, if you're a beginner and you want to put on a stop bead, then you can do that. I'm not going to leave a huge tail because I'm going to put the clasp on separately, but I'll leave maybe a 4 to 6 inch tail so I can tie that in nice and strong. So I'm going to turn this into a circle. I'm going to hold where my tail thread is coming out, and I'm just going to sew back through all the beads. I'm going to stay in frame. So pull through. So see, I've made a box, but I'm going to go all the way around again. I'm going to reinforce as I go. So go through the 11/0 again, and go through the 6mm, go through the 11/0, with the 6mm, go through the, I went through the 11/0, go through the 6mm, so I'm coming to my tail, go past the tail, just keep going around in a circle. I'll make this nice and tight. Put your thumb on it, give it a pull. Some of you might want to tie it into a knot. I don't have a problem with that. Go ahead. It's just that we're going to embellish a lot, so if you're using a stone, sometimes the holes in the stones are smaller, so I would try to keep my knots to a minimum. So I'm just going to come all the way around. I'm going to come down and out one of the 6mm beads. So here's my tail is over here. I'm coming out of this bead right here. So I've got a little, put it down there for a second, a little box. Now the stones are a little more irregular than, let's say, a crystal, but that's okay. It's just part of a stone is just, no two stones are alike. But it makes a pretty nice right angle weave anyway. Okay, so the first row is the 4 beads and the 4 11/0s and the 4 6mm. So now to make your second box, you have this box already. So this is just like the bracelet we had made, the flower buds. Don't forget to put your 11/0 on first. You're always going to have 4 11/0s in just down this first pass. So an 11/0, a 6mm, an 11/0. All right, you guys, 6mm, an 11/0, a 6mm, and 11/0. Whoops. And be careful with that, because these big, these big beads, they tend to fill up the needle, and your little 11/0 can pop off, because we're going to use those little 11/0s for embellishment. We're going to, to sew through and such. So you only need 3 of the 6/0s. Excuse me, the 6mm beads. So you're going to take those beads, and you're going to just come around, get in frame, and go like you're chasing your thread. Look, and if you're not familiar with right angle weave, look at the other video of the bracelet, and that will give you a real good sort of tutorial on right angle weave. It's really the same as this. You can just watch this also. So I'm just going to come through, and that's going to give me another box. See? So now I have 2 boxes. I'm going to sew around. I'm going to go through the seed bead, the 6mm, the 11/0. I'm going around in a circle. 6mm, 11/0, 6mm. I'm going to go down that center bead. So I'm really reinforcing every box so that it makes a nice, tight, right angle weave. That way you don't have to do it later. And it's easier to work with something that's not flopping all over the place. Okay. So this is what you should have. So now you have 2 boxes. I'll put that down. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep going. I'll do one more with you and then I'll send you off on your own. So we'll do 11/0, 6mm, 11/0, 6mm, 11/0, 6mm, and 11/0. So you see you just need 3 because you're going to add to the end, but always have 4 11/0s on that needle, just for this first pass. So you're going to chase your thread. So here's where you came out at the top. And just go under and up and pull. And that's going to pull the beads into another box. And you can move this around a little bit in order to make it easier to sew. So I'm just going to sort of move it that way a little bit. Okay, and then maybe down here a little bit. You should see this goldstone. It is sparkling like crazy. I don't know if it's on. I'll see it when the video is over if it's sparkling as much as it is in my lights, because oh, so gorgeous. When I was looking at, the beads came today, and when they came, I was in my little sunroom, and oh God, they're so gorgeous when they're sparkling. You know, in the sun, they look so pretty. Okay, so here we have 3 boxes. Okay, so don't forget those seed beads. All right, so there are your 3 boxes. Keep doing what I just did. Rewind it if you need to. Keep adding boxes until you get to the length of your bracelet. So, as I said, if you have a 7-inch, if you normally wear a 7-inch bracelet, then make this 6 inches. So I'm going to measure like so, and I'm going to come down to, let's say, 6 inches, maybe even a little less, because this is a pretty big clasp. So, so continue with your right angle weave, okay, and I'll meet you back here at the end of this first row. Don't forget, you have 4 seed beads on in between the 3 beads that you're going to add to this end bead, and because we're going to use those seed beads. So go on, continue on, and I'll meet you back here in a minute. Okay, we're back. So I've zoomed in a little bit, and just so we can see really clearly. So here's my tail end, okay? Here's my 6 inches of right angle weave. So it helps me to, so what we want to do at this point is we want to come around here, come out here, we want to come around, and we want to start, let me push this up a little bit, we want to start making more right angle weave to the end. So that would be 2 rows of boxes. So we have to orient the piece in a way that it's going to be easy for us. Now, some people are really, really good at this. I have my little diagrams, and I'll probably still make some mistakes. So anyway, we're coming out here. I like to hold it up in my hand like this. Oh, look, it's got sparkle. Because we want to come on this side, so come down through the seed bead and that side 6 millimeter. Pull your needle through. I've got a lot of thread on my needle now, so we can so I can finish it. So there we are. So that's how you want your thread coming out. So if it's facing this way, your thread is coming out of the bottom there. I find it easier to hold it up this way, and you might find that also. You just find a comfortable way for you. So now I'm going to start making boxes down here. So I'm going to put on my needle an 11/0. And what I want to do is, excuse my hand, but I want to pull my beads down over here so that they're out of camera view. and just the bracelet is showing. So I've got an 11/0, a 6mm, an 11/0, a 6mm. It's hard to see the holes on these blue beads. An 11/0, 6mm, and 11/0. Okay, so that's what you have on your needle. You have 3 6/0s. I'm sorry, 3 6mm and 4 11/0s. All right, so that's, make sure that's on your needle. What you're going to do, just like before, you're going to chase your thread. So you're coming out of the bottom, go through the top. Don't go through the 11/0 at the top there. Just go through the bead, or or the crystal, whatever. Okay, so you're coming around and you're going through, and you're going to pull. Sorry about that. I bumped my camera. And see what that does? It puts a box next to the other box. See? 1, 2. That's the easy part. Okay, so sew around. So you're going to go through the bead you just put on. Okay, so through the 11/0, the 6mm, and frame, yes, 11/0, 6mm. You hear that when I pull it down, the thread down, you can hear that grinding on the stone. So I'm trying to pull it in the direction I should be pulling it, but that generally puts me out of frame. Okay, so go through again. You're going through the 11/0, the 6mm, that 11/0. Okay, that's the top of the box. I'm going to pull that through. And then you see the center here, that the bead they're sharing. Go down that one too. Don't go through the 11/0, just the bead, 6mm. I've got to stop banging my camera. Okay. So this is what you have. So you've just reinforced your boxes. So I'm going to put that down. Let's see if that will clear up. Yes. Okay. So that's what we have right now. So that's the turn. So from now on, and I just so that I just want to show you. This is my iPad, and these are my my little pictures that I took as I was making the bracelet, because it's kind of confusing. So here we are. We're coming out of here. Go through the, so that's the center bead. Go through the 11/0 over here and come out. That's 6mm. Okay. So everything's a right angle. You're not going to see any threads. And I know, I mean, that's supposed to be easy, but I might have to zoom out just a little bit just to clear it up. Come on. Okay. So we're coming out of that box. So in order to make another box, we've got to pick up just 2 beads this time. So an 11/0, 2 6/0s, 6mm. An 11/0, 6mm, 11/0, 6. Come on, you. 6mm and 11/0. So we have 3 11/0s and 2 6mm beads. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull them down. Now let's see, how will we do this? Because this is how I learned to make that another box. So do you see how if I take those and I pull them up this way, it's going to make another box? See? So that's what you want to do. But you also want to make sure you have your seed bead in there. So we're going to add that after. So you see, so if you just put your, this is what you're going to put on the needle from here on in, are just 2 6mm and 3 11/0s. And you're going to add some 11/0s in here and there, which you just do. You just have to. So if you just kind of do that, you can say, okay, yeah, that looks right. That's a box. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to come through this 6mm. I'm not going to go through the seed bead, the 11/0. I'm just going through the 6mm. I'm going to pull my thread. And do you see how I have another box? But the only different thing is that we need a 4th seed bead there. We have 3 seed beads. So at this point, you're just going to take 1 seed bead, and you're going to come around, go through your 6mm, just to add that last 11/0 seed bead in. And this is what you should have. So do you see that there aren't any, like you don't see any threads when you pull it? You've got 4 in the middle, 4 11/0s in the middle, and you've got 2 on the side of these 6/0 seed beads. And so you see how it puts the 3rd 11/0 seed bead there, so we need to put another one in when we get to it. So we're going to come down. So we're going to reinforce just like we did before. I hope that you understood that. And I think that's a really good way to do it, is to put the beads on your needle, and then you can kind of see where they go at that point. And then sometimes it's kind of weird and you have to add something, and and so it's and it gets a little strange. So sew around all the way. Let's see, where are we? Okay, so I'm gonna go through the seed bead. I'm gonna sew up, just reinforcing. Okay, yeah, that feels a little bit better when I reinforce it. Maybe you don't have to reinforce all the way up again, but I'm not changing my thread path. I'm going through the same thread path. I'm not putting any extra thread in. You're not going to see any lines of thread. That's right angle weave. You don't see any thread. So I'm going to come down again. This just makes it tight, and it makes it easier for me to do it. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go through my 6mm, and then I'm going to look and I'm going to think, okay, so I know I need to put on an 11/0, a 6mm, an 11/0, 6mm, I'm trying to get the really shiny ones, and 11/0. Okay, so this is what we're always going to have on our needle till we get to the end. Okay, this is the hard part. The rest of it is just going to be the fun part. Okay, so that's what we have on. Let's put this down. I'm going to bring them down. And I'm going to see, what do I need to do here to make another box? So do I need to go this way? I don't know, that looks a little weird to me. Do I need to go around? No, I can't go that way. Alright, so something's weird here. Okay, so I don't think I want to go that way. So I'm going to take them off. And this is a good way to learn, by just putting the beads on and seeing where they go. Alright, so at this point, I put my beads on and they just didn't fit. So I'm looking at this, I need a 4th seed bead in there, right? See where I need number 4? I'm just going to take a seed bead, I'm going to put it in, I'm going to go down that next side box. And do you see how that puts that 4th seed bead in? So now I can take my 11/0, my 6mm, my 11/0, my 6mm, my 11/0. So again, that's what we have on our needle. And see, by putting that 11/0 in, I'm going to pull them down. I know this is, I really want you to learn this, because this is a good way to learn it, because some people, you can, instead of just doing it, you put the beads on, because you know you're always putting on 311/0s and you're always putting on 2 of the 6mm. So if I go like this, okay, I'm going to let me pull this around so you can see it. Look at that. I have another box. So I know that this is what I have to do for the next box. So do you see what I mean? By putting it down and spreading it out and saying, yeah, that looks like it's going to fit, or no, that doesn't, you're learning how to do it. So here you go. I'm going to go through the 6mm. Now you don't want to go through that seed bead because you don't want to make any thread path. You don't want to show any thread paths. I'm going to go through that 6mm and I'm going to pull. Okay, and see how that made another box, but on my thread's up here. So what do? I'm going to follow my thread path, which is through that seed bead, down the 6mm, and just look, see where your thread path is. Make sure you're not, okay, see, I don't see any extra thread, so I can't do anything with that, so I'm going to go through here and just through the 6mm. Let's see how we look. Okay, put it down. Cool. See? So far we're doing pretty well. All right. So now we know, if we look back here too, we see 2 seed beads. We have to put on what we've been putting on all along, an 11/0, a 6mm, an 11/0, 6mm, and 11/0. Sorry, it takes a while. It's so hard to see the holes on these beads. Okay, so we're going to do that again because I want you to learn this, and it helps me too. This is how how I learn it. So if I put that on, and so those are the 3 beads, the beads that I'm always putting on, the 3 11/0s and the 2 6mm. So I'm just going to twirl it around. Gee, if I go up there, I'm going to have another box. So for all of you like me who need that reassurance, do exactly what I'm doing to learn it. Otherwise, you won't learn it. Otherwise, it'll make you crazy. So I'm going to start by going through the 6mm and see how that does. Okay, that gave me a box. See? But if you notice, the seed bead I want here, because I want 4 in the middle, is missing. So I'm going to pick up an 11/0. So you always want to make sure, look back, you want those 4 seed beads in between the 6mm beads. So when you don't have one and you've made your box, put one on your needle, okay? Go just through the 6mm, because this is where you have to add on a seed bead now and again, or pretty often, in order for it to come out all even. And that's just the way it is. It just is. Okay, so you're coming out of here. We're just going to reinforce. We're going to bring this down. Going through the beads we just put on. We're going to go through here. Let's go through the 6mm. Okay. Okay, now you can reinforce again, but I think we're okay. Well, you know what? Let's make it nice. Let's make it nice and tight. Just to show you too your thread path. So this is a thread path. Look and see where your thread's going. See how the thread's going up through there. This isn't always necessary. I'm just doing this so that you really get an idea of the right angle weave, that you're always following. And I shouldn't have gone through that bead. Just go through the 6mm there. You're always going to follow your thread path, and with right angle weave you can see that thread path very easily, especially using these big beads. So I'm coming down. Okay, I'm going to go through these 2 beads. Okay. Okay, so I'm putting it down again. So I know that I have to add an 11/0, 6mm, an 11/0, 6mm, an 11/0. Get a little faster with those 6mm. Okay, so here are my beads. I'm going to pull them down. All right, I'm going to look, gee, where can I put, so, gee, that doesn't look like a box, remember? Nope. Can't make a box there. Take them off. Now at this point you may know, if you know right angle weave, just, you know, skip through this whole part and, you know, I'll meet you at the end when we start to embellish. But I really want those of you who don't know right angle weave, especially the double, you know, the second row, to learn this. Okay, so we put our beads on and it didn't work. So I'm looking here and I see, looks like I need a fourth bead there. So I'm going to take that 11-0 and I'm going to bring it down through this 6mm, only the 6mm. Don't get too caught on your beads. See? So there, let's put it in the right place. Now I can take my 11-0, my 6mm, my 11-0, my 6mm, my 11-0. Okay, remember that's what we're putting, that's every time, that's what we're putting on. Look at how sparkly that is, I love it. I get mesmerized by it. Okay, so we're here, and so let's put it down. Let's bring the beads down. I'm telling you, this is how I learned, and that's why I'm teaching you this way. This I could not learn any other way. When I look at directions in a book, I'm totally confused. So I see now that, okay, there are my beads. If I bring them around here, look at that. I've got a right angle weave there. I got a little box. So I'm going to go through just the 6mm. I can find the hole to it. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to pull through. And take your time. You know, don't just go through that one and see, geez, is that good? What else do I need to go through? Okay, so I see, here's my right angle weave, here's my thread path. I'm going to go through this 11-0. Here, I'll do them one at a time. Okay, I'm going to go through this thread, through this 6mm. Okay, I'm going to go through this 6mm. I'm going to come all the way around. Sorry about the phone and my my answering machine. I should have turned that off. So I'm just going to continue around. See, I'm sort of reinforcing at this point because to me it's just easier. And sorry about that. And I just get to see my thread path. So you see, you're not seeing any thread crossing anywhere. The thread is always going at right angles. I know that for a beginner that is very difficult to understand, and even for me, and I'm not a beginner. I wouldn't say that I'm a professional. I'm an amateur. I'm a little amateur beader. Okay, so here we are. All right. Now I'm taking you through this step by step because I really want you to learn it. So we have our box, right? All right. I might, stop, after this next one and let you go on by yourself a little bit, but I'm going to try and take you through at least maybe half of it, just so that you're not going to remember. If you can read a chart, by all means do that. If you need, I need a video. The charts are great, but I also need a video. So again, the same sequence of beads. I'm going to bring them down. And you could write this down as you go. And that way you can, you have the directions. I find that if I do it this way, it's after a few times it sinks in. So here you go. I've got a right angle. A little box right there, right? So I know that I want to go up. This seed bead and this 6mm. No, I'm sorry, I don't want to go up that. So you see, it's very easy to make a mistake. And I'm sort of caught here a little bit, so I'm going to come out of this seed bead. See if I can back out. I'm telling you, I can do this over and over again, and each time I can think everything is fine and I'm not going to make a mistake, and then all of a sudden I've made a mistake. So let me see if I can get out of it. If I can't get out of it, I'm going to stop the camera because I have just 6 minutes left on it anyway. So okay, so let me get out of my little extra seed bead there, and I'll come right back. Okay, we're back. So I just had untangled, my threads got a little tangled, and so from what I did, see what I did? I went through this seed bead and it racked everything out. Okay, and then it got stuck. So you don't want to go through that seed bead. So when we put our right angle down, and remember we said here's our box. Okay, there's our box. So what you want to do is you want to go through the bead, the 6mm, but you don't want to go through that seed bead, and I went through that seed bead. And you will too if you're a beginner, and you'll say, what the heck? What did I do? So okay, we're at this point where we've got our right angle here, our little box, but we're missing a seed bead in the middle. See how they're all fours? So right, we're going to go put a seed bead on our needle, and we're going to go through the 6mm. So now we're getting that 4th seed bead in there. Okay, and you see how we're all in a right angle now. No threads are showing. And now we're going to reinforce. We're going to go around and get our needle in position for the next set of boxes. So we're going to go around. Okay, going to go up. So I'm just reinforcing now. I'm going to get nice and tight. And I'm just following my thread path. Now this is a really good thing to do when reinforcing, even if you have to go through one bead at a time. Oops. I'm going to go through the top of the box. I'm going to come down through, what are we doing? The side of the box and that seed bead. I'm going to come through the bottom of that box. Okay, so that's what you have so far. So do you see how we've got our 2 rows very nicely in line? We'll do it one more time, and then I'll leave you on your own, and we'll see how it works out. Now, of course, as I said, those of you who are experienced beaders and have done a million, some people have, you do rows and rows of right angle weave. Just finish it, come to the end, and, I'll meet you there. Okay, I think I lost a seed bead. Okay, so we'll put a 3rd seed bead on. So we have our normal 3 seed beads and our 2 6mm. Okay. So let's see. What do I have to... Okay, so see now. What do we do now? Okay, that's not working out. Alright, so we know that we're going to take this off. Okay, so I just want you to see how you can tell when you need to just put that 1 seed bead in, when you need to go through all the beads. Come here, you. And when you need to, it's like you're doing something different each time, especially when you're putting these all the seed beads on. To me, that's where it gets confusing. If you didn't have to put a seed bead on in between everything, it would be easy. Or much easier. Okay, so that didn't work out for us, right? So what do we have to do here? We have to take a seed bead, and we're going to come down. Remember when we did this before? So it's like, it's a little pattern here. So write your pattern down. So you're adding a seed bead. So you're making number 4 seed bead. Okay, that looks pretty good. See? Now, 11/0, 6mm, 11/0. It's kind of a small one. 6mm, 11/0. Okay, let's drop it down. Okay, so we're going to get a box out of this. Yes. Now I lost my last 11/0. Just make sure you do that. Happens. The 11/0s, when you use a bigger, bead in the middle, like the 6mm, sometimes the 11/0 kind of just pops off. Just make sure it's on there. Make sure you always have 3 and 2 6mm. So can I make a box and it look good? Yes, I can. I'm going to go through the 6mm. I'll pull my box through. Now, okay, remember we've got to go around, and we don't want to. We want to stay on the thread path. So the thread path is going through that little 11/0, down the 6mm, through this 11/0, the 6mm. Oops, just go through the 6mm. Okay, so we're following that thread path. We're putting that next box on. Okay, so the box is on. See? Okay, now I like to reinforce it, so I'm going up again. A lot of people, beaters might not go up again. It does make it a lot stronger, and we have a lot of embellishing to do too, which is going to make it stronger. So we don't want too much thread going through these beads, but I think this is okay. If you don't want to go around twice, don't go around twice. You can just go around once, but just make sure you stay on the thread path. Now, going around twice, you have more of a chance of not staying on your thread path, but sometimes it's really good because it shows, you see, okay, oops, sorry about that. I'm not on my thread path, or I am. So you see what we've got here? We've got all our boxes in a row. We've got 4 seed beads in the middle. We've got 2 on the sides, and we're about halfway done. So I think from this moment on, I'm just gonna start the next one and let you continue from there. Now, if you're a super experienced beader, you won't be watching this anyway, because you will have probably already made some really gorgeous right angle weave thing, and you'll be, making your own videos, or you'll be, embroidering something amazing. So this is why this is a beginner's channel, even though some of the pieces are a little more difficult, but it's still a beginner's channel. So, and I want you to learn a little more than beginner, advanced beginner. How's that? So I'm making a box, see? So I know I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go around. So I'm going to leave you on your own for a little bit. Each time you finish a box, make sure that you have your 4 seed beads in the middle, and that you have your box, there are no threads in between. I'll do a couple more boxes, and then I'll meet you back here.